So where do I find you today, Eric? Are you at home?
Yeah, I'm hanging out in my man cave and just sitting here, just looking at some comic books and just going online, reading some stuff.
Very good. It's good to hear you've got a man cave as well. I've got one too, and I'm very proud of it.
Awesome.
So thank you for your time today. Just to give you a quick background, my name's Simon McLaughlin. I'm interviewing you for rockreviews.com.au. It's a great pleasure for me to be able to speak to you, Eric. I've been a massive fan for 25 plus years, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you today. So thank you. And just wondering if we could just kick things off with it's a little bit of a background on the new album, which I've been lucky enough to have a few listens to. Congratulations on it, by the way. It's fantastic. So it sounds as though you and Chuck have had a big hand in the sort of the structure and the songwriting and lyrics of the album. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much that's how most of the records have played. The last two records. I guess as a band we jammed more as a band on the songs, but Alex was a little bit more involved on the other two, but me and Chuck have always been the main songwriters.
Yep.
For the newer Testament. On this record, it was pretty much solely written by Chuck and myself.
Yeah. I could kind of get that feel early on that it's
no compromising on it.
Yeah, that's always a difficult task in a band situation, I guess. I mean, I've never been in a band, but I've been in the music circles for a long time, and the dynamics of bands can be really difficult, especially if if you've got your ideas of how you want things to go. That can quite often cause a bit of friction, can't it?
Yeah, I think it's a curse and a blessing. I mean, when two different people got two different ideas, and you can bring them both to the table and they match, it's great. But when they conflict, it could be a mess.
Yeah.
On this one, there was nothing to compromise with, so it came out exactly musically how I envisioned it, and with the vocals too, helping Chuck, at least getting him started on the direction, and then him, being able to, because the music always comes first, so he's kind of has to adapt to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes easy, and sometimes it's not. So it's kind of what's half and half on this record. The stuff that came easy was awesome. The stuff that was hard, it was really hard. But I think once we've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, it made for a better song. So that's pretty awesome.
When you've been working with someone for as long as you have with Chuck and Alex as well, it's interesting that the dynamics are still there after so long, and everyone still brings their A game along. And I think Chuck's vocals are a standout on this record. The melodies that he's got going on there are very interesting, and are sort of hark back to some earlier albums, particularly The New Order. I thought I could hear little elements of that record in this new one as well, and particularly maybe some of the aggression from The Gathering and Demonic. Do you think that's a fair call?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we strive for. I definitely, when he was demoing stuff up, I was definitely trying to push him to use his more pitchier voice and raise his eyebrows, so to speak.
Yep.
Rather than, he falls into his comfort zone of the more gruffy, not death, not high, but just kind of that sound.
Yeah.
And that's where the fights broke out to where, because that's his comfort zone. And I was just like, man, I'm glad that I, pushed him, and I'm glad that I'm glad that he tried, at least. And my whole theory is just try it. Even with me, it's like, try it. Because if you don't, if you tried it and you're all, nope, I don't like it, or you try it and you go, fuck, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that was one thing that we both did, was we tried stuff. With the guy in the middle, Juan Ortega, who's kind of like our mediator, and not taking sides, was more like, I think this is the way to go. It was really,
I think Born in a Rut is a really interesting track. It's got almost a flowing sort of jazz vibe to it, but then the aggression kicks in, and vocally it's a standout. Would that track complement what you've just said about pushing Chuck to really tackle things in a different way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the song that musically it was awesome. But when I played it for Chuck, he was like, I don't get it. How am I supposed to sing over that? And I'm like, I go, well, you don't have to go, you don't have to follow the guitar. You could do whatever. I mean, I was singing anything from David Lee Roth to Ariana Grande to Cronus to, I'm like, look, you could do anything over this.
Well, it's a highlight. It's a highlight, Eric. Yeah.
It's a highlight because I'll tell you what, I was really worried, but when I heard what he did, I was just looked at him. I'm like, dude, that is so fucking awesome. Like, that is beyond my expectations of what I thought he would do. So, not only having one of my favorite guitar tracks, and just that's more of the old school rocking kind of darker hard rock kind of Testament song. Chuck just took it, he with all bases were loaded, and he hit a home run.
Yeah, big time, and it's in an outstanding album. It is really in exalted company, where it's such a bit of a departure for you guys, but at the same time it fits the Testament sound and feel. There's a couple other tracks on there I wanted to ask you about as well. I was just wondering about, in particular, Pale King. That's a great thrash track. Yeah. Is there a sort of a story behind that? Just wondering if, and I'm just clutching at straws here, given you've got a pretty big presidential election coming up. Is that kind of related to any of that?
Well, yeah, there's a song that is related to that. That is not the song that's related to that. The song Stronghold.
That's my next track. That was literally written here next question, so I wasn't far off.
Yeah. Stronghold is the one that is more talking about, starting off how government should be the voice of the people, and like in all societies, all the way back to the Sumerians, to the Roman Empire, to the French, to everything, just the British invasion. I mean, everything. The government always takes over, and it's just human nature. You give someone an inch, they take a mile later. I mean, okay, so I'm not super being political, but yeah, that's kind of where that song is about. The Pale King is more of a song that is dealing with alien theories of back in the Sumerian times. Ra, Anu, different gods that came to our planet for its minerals and its gold. And, this could be the Hollywood version, what I'm talking about. I mean, you can only find so much information through text and, however you find information through books and, the internet and whatever not. But it's fun to explore stuff like that. And
yep.
Especially because, since, the revelations of the unleashment of the beast and the reflection on the world now of a lot of things that are pointed towards the infamous 666.
Yeah.
It really is that time right now, and it's everything that what we thought was something is now something different. Look at the zodiac sign. There's a new zodiac sign. We're not the center of the universe anymore. We're actually, on the cuffings of the belt, and the universe is expanding, and there's all these crazy technologies and new theories. And is it real, or is it all a lie? Is it just us being faked out because of prophecies of the beast?
Yeah.
I mean, so, yeah, that sounds all crazy like what I'm talking about, but that's kind of what that song deals with. It's about basically, Anu is the Pale King.
And that kind of complements the actual title of the album, Brotherhood of the Snake, which was a secret society of draconian aliens. Is that kind of, that sits over the whole album, that kind of theme and vibe?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I would imagine, or I'm not imagining, but I would say the first 5 songs definitely keep in the theme of the Brotherhood of the Snake. We have the Brotherhood of the Snake, which a lyrical video kind of explains, the Brotherhood of the Snake.
Yep.
In an abstract kind of way, without pointing any fingers and hopefully without any consequences on our end. And then it goes into talking about what we just talked about, the Pale King, and then it goes into Stronghold, which is the political end of who's pulling the strings of government and behind lobbyists. Not so much lobbyists as modern times, but even going back to Sumerian times, and different people, different entities pulling strings where you thought it wasn't. Going into, the slave's point of view of poverty, of born in a rut.
Yep.
And it's really cool because a lot of these things can be taken a lot of different ways on a different person's perspective on how you want to interpret in your life. That's what we I think we try to do, is make things a little bit more abstract, so that it kind of works. It's not so much, it's only this. It could mean a lot of different things, and
sure. Yeah.
That's a lot more fun,
Speaking of fun, I think the most fun track, if there is, on the album is Neptune Spear. Just superb riffing in that track. It had a bit of a feel to it, like, I don't know why, but maybe it just felt like you might have had that one tucked away for a little while and had an opportunity to drop it on this album, or was it something that's just been written for this album? Because it's a cracking track.
Yeah, definitely. That's an older track, actually.
Okay. Yep.
It's been revised a little bit. Some of the riffs were written during the gathering. The song was then put together for Dark Roots of Earth. We didn't finish it. Actually, we finished it. It's pretty 91% close to how it is now, but lyrically we didn't finish. It used to be called Merciful Desecration.
That's old school. That's an old school title.
Yeah. And it never made it on the record, and we kind of revisited it again, and we renamed it. Chuck had a really good think about the whole special ops procedure called Neptune Spear.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we turned it into that song, and it fit perfectly, and it's a nice piece. It's got nice crunchy old school guitars, but Alex's guitar solo is really influenced by Bach. A really cool piece. And we get to, there's a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
I think yourself and Alex are a criminally underrated guitar duo that you don't often get the credit that you guys deserve. You seem to complement each other on albums and live as well. How do you go working with Alex after all this time, and given there was such a long break in between when he left the band and came back? Do you look forward to working with him, with each album?
Yeah, especially the second wave. I mean, when he came back, I think the chip on his shoulder was taken off. Basically, when he came back, I was able to take my jacket off, or my hat, so to speak, of my duties in the band, and I got to explore, doing some more soloing, and it wasn't so much, because in the beginning it was more like, he's the lead guitar player, I'm the rhythm guitar player. It's like we had different, this is what you do, and this is what you can't play leads. And I was like, why? It's like, because Alex is way better than you, and it just, there was that vibe, and it was like, now it's like, here we are, it's like we're both guitar players, we're both different, but it's like, if we can be in a band together and write killer music together, why not have different substances in the song? It only makes the song more interesting. So, just like the Pale King, or like Can of Business, or Neptune Spear, or Seven Seals. I mean, there's all these different guitar things that we're both doing that are totally different, but they complement each other. It's like they really fit the part, and that's universal. That's the universe bringing everything into perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that sort of the second round with Alex being back in the band, and the last three albums have been absolutely fantastic to listen to, and you can hear that it's almost like a second wind, or maybe in your case a third or fourth wind. That having said that, you've only just got this new album sorted. It's interesting that you've gone with Juan Ortega as the producer and Andy Sneap as the mixer this time around. Were they sort of in reverse roles previously?
Well, I just want to correct you on that. So the producer role is more falling on my shoulders.
Okay. Yep.
I would say I would say Juan Ortega was more of a co-producer and more of the engineer. He's the man who recorded pretty much everything, overseeing and making stuff happen. That's more on mine and Chuck's shoulders.
Yep.
Musically, more on my shoulders. Business, more on Chuck's shoulders. So together, everybody doing their part. I guess it would be all three of us. But if you had to say who was the producer, it would definitely be Chuck and myself.
Okay. Very good.
And Juan Ortega, definitely has a claim a little bit to that, but that's not taken away from Juan, because Juan is a very good mediator, and he is a very hyper-sensitive singer himself. He used to be in a death metal band called Vile, so he's very aware of extreme heavy music.
Yep. Yeah.
And actually, he's, I wouldn't say writing, but he definitely is an influence on us. He's the guy that suggests a lot of stuff, and a lot of times I'm like, shut up, Juan. But there's some times where I'm like, oh my God, I would have never thought of that, So that's the beauty of that, And he's not afraid for us to say shut up. And then there's a lot of times he says stuff, and I'm like, I would have never thought of that. That's killer. Yeah, everything's all good. There's one thing I'd like to say to the Australian fans, though. With this release, we are planning on coming back to Australia, and it looks like we are tentatively booking some dates, January, February.
Wow, okay. That's
so it
soon.
Looks like we will be, yeah. So right on top of the release, we're going to be, okay, so it's not booked yet, but we are looking into it and talking to people, and it looks like January, February is what we're tentatively talking to promoters for Australia, New Zealand, and Japan.
Okay. That's very exciting.
I hope that happens, because I hope it happens, because it's been a while, and we would love to be back there.
Last time we had the pleasure of your company on the Soundwave tour, the Soundwave Festival, and I saw you guys do a sideshow at the Esplanade Hotel in St Kilda in a little room down there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a very, very small room, but it was a killer show. It was great to see you guys in such a tiny little venue. It must have been just like the old days, which we would never have seen until you yeah, it was a while until you got here. I think it was 2007, your first tour of Australia.
Yeah, it took us a while to get there, but we found a good friend and somebody who actually passed away, Mark Wilkinson.
Yep.
You know, he was a person. He was a person that believed in Testament when a lot of people, you know, wouldn't give us a chance to get over there, and he brought us over there, I think, 2 times, and I think we killed it both times. Which led to the sound wave. So that's cool.
Yeah, I know, Mark. That's a very sad story that what happened there, but it's onwards and upwards, though, Eric. So I really hope you do get here though next year. That'd be fantastic, and might get the opportunity to come and say hi to you. That'd be really good.
Cheers, I appreciate that. Right on.
Yeah, very good. All right, thank you. I appreciate your time very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Good on you. Thanks, Eric. See ya.